Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BSV TV. I'm your host Satoshi, and on this show we'll be defending the one and only, truly genuine Bitcoin. The Bitcoin that Satoshi Nakamoto designed in his white paper as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system for the world. Let's get the disclaimers out of the way. So all the statements that you hear on this show are opinion and must only ever be taken as opinion. They are never to be taken as any form of advice, family, financial, sexual or otherwise. And on that note, let's sit back, relax, have some fun and enjoy the show. Get paid for your content in Bitcoin and set your own fee on Streamanity.
Yeah, I'm not surprised I wasn't asked why I'm convinced Craig is Satoshi. I posted on Reddit. He signed in my presence using the private key from block number one, the very first mined Bitcoin block. On a computer that I'm convinced had not been tampered with, on software I'm convinced that had not been tampered with, a message of my choosing.
At Enchain, we've just funded a number of universities doing, so far, a test up to 1 gigabyte because it validates what we've already done independently. We've tested up to 380 gigabyte blocks. We've tested 1 million transactions a second and transaction sizes up to 20 megabytes. Super complex scripts. Basically ones that can run operating systems. That's all of global commerce times about 50. On top of that, we can have complex scripts. On top of that, we can scale each of those transactions 1,000 times, which effectively means about 1 billion transactions per second, which means we can then have all derivatives, all complex trades. That means high frequency trading. It means everything that happens globally.
Is the market that effectively BSV is going for, is that global e-commerce, which is currently valued at $29 trillion?
No, that's too small.
Buy and sell Bitcoin instantly at bsvgravity.com. And you can now book and pay for your winter holiday at skibsv.com. Alrighty, good afternoon everybody. We are live. The time is just after 5. And it is Monday, the 12th of April, 2021. Thank you for joining me on this live show. If you are listening to this on YouTube, it will be a week later because I upload these live shows, live at 5, the main show, up onto Streamanity, where you can set your own fee according to how you judge the quality. Because as we know, if the service is free, it means that you are the product. So in the future, we will all simply get paid what we are worth. There will be no being exploited under the disguise of something being free. But we won't mind paying because the medium of exchange that we're using is increasing in value because it is fixed in supply. That's the whole idea. It's a phenomenal system. So I have to apologise for my lack of shows recently, but that's because I have been hard at work doing my DoucheBags of Bitcoin series because I could not believe my ears. On some of those videos. So what we'll do, we'll just go through some of them now and break them down just for lulz, basically. I think we'll start off with Dan Held. Yeah, there we go. This guy, right? So I'm gonna play this video and then talk about it as we're going through it. So hopefully this will be the video here. 2 seconds. Let me bring it up.
So, as you mentioned, at a certain point when the block reward stops, there will be a transition where miners will be compensated in transaction fees, not in the block reward. And the current amount that they earn is from fees is about 9% of the block reward. And so we'd have to see transaction fees 11x by roughly 2140, which is when the new Bitcoins will stop being minted.
She says 2140, so that's, 120 years away. But to be honest with you, it's going to be way before that because the next block reward halving in three whatever years, from now. Hold on 1 second. Just turn that off. Hold it. There, sorry about that. The next one, it's currently 6.25, and so the one after that comes to 3.12, And that's just in just over like 3 years time. And then after that, it goes to 1.7. See, you're literally, there is only like 1.7 Bitcoin in each block. And that's just after 8 years. So she's saying, oh, what, after like 2140? It is going to tank like way before then. There is no way miners are going to be able to sustain themselves if the block reward is just simply 1 Bitcoin, because only one miner can win that 1 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. That is it. The smaller miners are just simply going to fall away. The mining will just become completely centralized and eventually be worth nothing. And that's what Blockstream want. That's what their paymasters want. They want this. They want the system to collapse. So she's on the right track, but she's jumping sort of like way too far ahead, which is kind of like a bit of an extreme example. But still, the question is valid. What's going to happen? And her face when she's asking this, it's a shame that she's actually got like a fly like buzzing around her head at the time, kind of like distracting her. But you can see in her face, she's just like, look, what is going to happen? Like, what's going to happen? And so she's genuinely interested in the answer that they give, because both Andreas Antonopoulos is in this one as well as Dan Held. But we're going to break down his answer here. Honestly, it's so ridiculous.
But I just wondered, if we don't see an increase in the amount of transactions that can happen at layer 1, because the number of layer 1 transactions is limited. And right now I feel like a lot of the scaling is focusing on layer 2. Can transaction fees 11x in that time, or will that require people to pay a lot more per transaction?
So listen to this guy, Dan Held, repeat himself at least 3 or 4 times.
The KPI for for what we're looking at right now, which the question we're trying to answer is...
And again, just blagging, wasting time, repeating the question that he's just been asked, to try and like give her confidence that he's actually understood the question.
Are transaction fees replacing the block subsidy in the block reward? So are newly minted...
Here we go, repeating the question again.
Coins, are they, as those decrease, is that value being replaced by the subsidy? And so we can calculate that. That would be our primary...
And now he's going, oh yeah, I can tell you how we can work that out.
KPI. So you could look at transaction fees over the subsidy.
Thanks for that, Dan. You're going to tell us again how we can also work it out?
Transaction fees in a block divided by the subsidy. And you brought up that's at 9%.
Hear that stutter in his voice there?
If we look at that historically and we make it like a rolling 60-day to smooth it out a little bit, and we look at this over time on a log curve, it's very much trending in the right direction, where 11x sounds like a lot. But Bitcoin moves in really intense cycles where we've all seen it go from 1,000 to 10,000 or 20,000. When that happens, that means there's not an equivalent, but a directional rise in transactions and transaction fees.
He's talking crap.
And so we have seen transaction fees replace the subsidy.
Really? When?
Over time. And so it very much is trending in the right...
Repeating himself again.
Direction, to where over the next couple halving cycles, we should see it start to predominantly be the value that is compensated to the miners in the block reward.
Honestly... So the next couple of halvings, we should see that getting paid to the miners as the predominant payment instead of the block reward. Whatever.
If Bitcoin doesn't become adopted, if it remains a more niche sort of a service for humankind, where...
As in kind of like only available for those very, very limited, large amount of transactions.
Only, let's say 20 million people use it. Well, then its long-term security will be weak.
So look, he even admits that. He's just like, look, if not many people use it, its long-term security will be weak.
If Bitcoin is the world reserve currency that doesn't have a strong security model, like there's not a lot of monetary compensation in the block reward due to transaction fees.
There we go. There's not a lot of monetary compensation due to transaction fees. It's ridiculous.
Well, will that be a bad scenario? Well, it's an impossible scenario, because if it is the world reserve currency, there will be very, very many layer 1 transaction fees.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like you think it is possible people might consider that because, or rather, it's possible that the amount in transaction fees will maybe not be enough on layer 1 to replace the block reward when the time comes.
And did you hear that? That was Andreas Antonopoulos trying to chime in there, because he's just like, oh, hold on a minute, we don't want people to admit that. She's figured it out, well, she's onto us. You know, because his Dan Held's explanation was absolutely pathetic there. And she's just like, well, it sounds like there isn't going to be enough. And he's just like, whoa, we don't want that. You know, honestly, like, if you, I mean, this has taken me a long time to obviously put together, you know, to pick these things out. But, you know, luckily, because I understand, you know, I understand Bitcoin, I can hear the bullshit in their stories. It's absolutely insane. So, yeah, but I mean, that took me hours to put together. So, yeah, well worth it. I hope you appreciate it. Right, let's have a look at the next one after that. Here we go. Look at this. This guy, Andreas Antonopoulos, actually said here, in a statement, we need to stop thinking about buying a cup of coffee as the primary activity as a medium of exchange. But I'm totally guilty, as it's the number one example in my book. And then he tries to correct himself by saying, oh yeah, you know, I knew that it was you know, invalid as soon as I wrote it. You know, that's absolute bullshit. He would have pulled the book off the shelves if he knew that it was incorrect. You know, and why would he have not put a disclaimer in the book? You know, he is clearly a paid shill. You know, it's absolutely outrageous. So let's have a listen to him talking about coffee.
If I'm wanting to send $1 million, I'm fine with paying a $100 transaction fee. But if I'm trying to pay for my Netflix using Bitcoin, a $100 transaction fee is super onerous. So I'm not going to do that.
Right, but is this kind of against the original vision of Bitcoin then? Because, you know, I think a lot of people like the idea of Bitcoin because they think of it as democratizing access to finance. Is it possible to fulfill that vision of democratizing finance for everyday people if it's only reduced to people who want to send $1 million worth of Bitcoin being able to do so?
And as we just heard, that guy there actually just explained if there aren't enough transactions on layer 1, the security of Bitcoin will be weak. So he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to use it for, you know, like paying for the Netflix. You know, it's only, I don't mind paying $100 for, like, you know, $1 million transaction. It makes no sense, but we know this anyway, you know. I don't even know why I'm getting annoyed. It's so stupid. But this is Andreas Antonopoulos chiming in now.
We need to stop thinking about buying a cup of coffee as the primary activity of a medium of exchange. And it's probably the worst example to use, and I am totally guilty. This is the number one example in my book.
So it's the worst example to use, and yet it's the number one example in his book. Absolutely insane.
And it was obsolete the moment I wrote it.
Obsolete the moment he wrote it. Well, thanks for the warning, Andreas. Why would we have bothered buying your book if it was completely obsolete the moment you wrote it? You know, honestly, it really irritates me. You know, just absolute scammer. Total scammer. Yeah, you know, but yeah, I just have to laugh at it, really. You know, we know what they're up to. It's unfortunately a shit corners with shit for brains that aren't really going to understand what's really going on behind the scenes. But check this one out. I thought this was another one sort of added on to the same interview that was in there, where she was asking him, you know, about the block reward after 140 years. And he can't even answer the question. Like, have a listen to this.
By the way, this is the number one question I get. For the past 8 years, all I've been doing is answering questions about Bitcoin. The most common question I get is, what happens in 140 years when block subsidy stops? And the answer, the most important part of this answer is, it doesn't happen in 140 years. It happens today.
No, it does happen in 140 years because we can answer it today.
The question is, are fees enough today to...
No, the question is what happens in 140 years, not today, Andreas.
Maintain the current level of security we need today in ratio to block subsidy.
You hear that stutter there? He knows he's lying. He knows he's lying.
And given the hash rate today, the answer the miners have given us is yes, resoundingly yes.
trying to be positive, trying to give a positive response, and actually avoiding answering the question.
Yes. So then we look at tomorrow.
And then she tries to chime in there and he cuts her off.
And so over time, though, this may lead to moments where you have very, very expensive transactions.
Yeah, ridiculously expensive transactions. Honestly, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And check this one out. This is the one I literally just I did this morning. Again, like, it took me a few hours because I had to splice and dice and like literally unpack the entire interview, and put all these pieces together for it to make sense. And then you get a clearer picture of what this is. XRP is absolutely, this is so hypocritical. Honestly, just have a listen to this. Like, you've got to hear it to believe it. Here we go.
Pleasure to have you, David. All right, so I was hoping you could comment perhaps briefly on this piece of news out this morning. Is Ripple hoping to find evidence that XRP is similar to Bitcoin and Ether and should not be considered a security?
There we go, right. So it's similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum and should not be considered a security. That's what they're trying to say here.
Yeah, I think the primary argument that we're trying to make here is that the market considers them similar. We considered them similar. All of the evidence suggested that they were similar, and then the SEC just, comes out of nowhere and say, nope, they're completely different.
All right, the reason I'm laughing a bit prematurely there, because you haven't heard what he says later on. Honestly, it's hilarious.
Ripple's a company. We're based in San Francisco. We have employees. We have shareholders. We have a CEO. I work for that company. I'm the chief technology officer. And it's a company like any other company. It's centralized. What the CEO says goes. There's a board of directors. It just works like any other company. The XRP is a digital asset. It's censorship resistant. It's publicly traded. It trades on the XRP ledger.
Yada, 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 yada. Gonna revolutionize the blockchain. Bollocks, bollocks, bollocks.
Ripple does not own or control the XRP ledger in any way.
So how did Ripple then get all the XRP that it has? It has about half the supply. So just how did that particular transaction happen?
The XRP ledger has a very different design from what Bitcoin and Ethereum have.
He's like, oh yeah, but the market considers them similar. We consider them similar. All the evidence suggests that they're similar, but it's very different by design. What a joke.
And many other digital assets. Like in Bitcoin, the stakeholders are, at least to some extent, the miners. And the miners reap the rewards of the transaction fees. The XRP ledger doesn't work that way. It is not competitive. Nobody's competing to reap fees.
Because it's centralized. There are no competitors in the system. It is absolutely a security.
Because it's not a competitive system, it doesn't have any way to sort of award fees to a particular party. Because although if it had a way to award fees to particular parties, people would compete for those fees and it would become competitive. So the way
and it would become competitive like a commodity instead of a centralized system like it is.
This design works is when the ledger first began operation, the 100 billion XRP, all that will ever exist, were sort of up for grabs.
What do you mean up for grabs? Someone created them. The developers of Ripple Labs created them. What do you mean up for grabs? They made them. They can take whatever they want.
And lots of people grabbed XRP out of that system, but it just...
Lots of people grabbed XRP out of that system. Well, whoever it was that created it could have grabbed them first.
So happens that obviously, just like early miners mined, huge amounts of Bitcoin before the public knew about it or was using it.
No, the white paper was released to the public. Anyone and everyone could have started the network. That's what gives it credibility. So he's basically outlining here why XRP doesn't have any credibility. Oh, they were up for grabs. How can they just be up for grabs? Somebody made it and then you take it.
Early XRP users grabbed large amounts of that pool of XRP. And so the people who developed the ledger
the people who developed the ledger, which was Ripple Labs,
up with the vast majority of it, and then
so the people who developed the ledger, which were Ripple Labs, ended up with the vast majority of it because they were able to take it before members of the public ever knew about it. Like, honestly, you couldn't make it up.
Have been distributing it since then.
And now they've been distributing it since then. They made it and then they were distributing it. He's trying to say that, oh yeah, so the difference is the fact that they grabbed it. They made it. they had it. And they've been distributing it since then. It is absolutely a security. This is hilarious. There is no competition in the system. It is completely different to Bitcoin and Ethereum, as he has already admitted. And yet they're trying to tell the SEC that they're the same. Honestly, this is why I say shitcoin is shit for brains. When you really understand what is going on, beneath the bonnet, you can hear the bullshit. I literally, when I heard this, it's the first shitcoiner that I actually laughed out loud. Like, genuinely burst out laughing. Had a good old chuckle to myself. Like, when I actually sort of realised what he said, because it's quite a long-winded interview, and I had to like I said, splice it and dice it and put it together. And then when I listened to it, I was just like, that is gold. That is absolute gold. Gotta put that on that's worthy of thousands of views. But my channel's probably, it's only got a few viewers, but I don't mind. But it's quality education for you guys who are lucky enough to listen to my show. So I hope you've enjoyed my efforts there. There will be more to come, but these videos do take a long time, which is why I haven't really been doing these live shows. But there we are. So 20 minutes gone. Let's just see what's up with latest news and all that. Here we go. Start with the important one in CoinGeek, because they're telling us what's happening in the space of Bitcoin, the genuine Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Bridge, Sunny Fung explains Metal ID and a portable identity. Bitcoin Association announces Bitcoin SV DevCon 2021 for May 15-16. Excellent stuff. All right, so let's just see what's in the business news. Sweden Central Bank concludes first phase digital currency trials. Digital yuan pilot moves to southern Henan province. Good grief, look, digital ruble, highest form of money, Russia says. Talking absolute crap there. Man loses BTC worth $1 million to fake Trezor app. Again, so a class action has been launched against Trezor, for basically having a sort of malware in their wallets. Dangerous stuff. Jamaica Island firm partnered to set another central bank digital currency project. Dubai financial regulators suggests a security token regulation. Absolutely security token regulations. This. But this is progress in the space. This is effectively people launching, basically peering down the rabbit hole, starting to climb down. They have got so far to go. And little do they know that at the bottom of this rabbit hole is the paradox of the centralized starting point, which means they'll probably keep on digging because they'll miss it. They'll get to they'll keep on, because they won't recognize when they've hit the bottom, because at the bottom is this paradox. It's only when you recognize the paradox that you can then start climbing back out of the rabbit hole and piecing everything together. It's shocking that people really don't know this. Let's have a look at tech. What most difficult thing to learn to program is. That's something that I want to get into, actually. 500.com dives deeper into a blockchain sector with B computing buy. China-based online lottery company 500.com continues its foray into the blockchain sector by acquiring ASIC mining machine manufacturer B Computing. People are bullish on this space, but they haven't. What, they think it's just going to grow? Maybe they're just thinking, scarcity make number go up. They haven't thought long term about this at all. It amazes me. Only us here in the genuine Bitcoin understand what's going on. We can see it clear as day, like literally clear as day. Blockchain computing plan in the works in China's Yunnan province. Yeah, right. Blockchain latest financial reports. Yeah. Right, we'll go to that programming thing in just a second after we've had a look at editorials. Seen those NFT ones. All right. Come on, let's go back there. Here we go. So it's tech we want, and this one. Now that my fundamentals is up to scratch, You know, I'm going to have to get into the techie stuff, whether I like it or not, really. The most difficult thing about learning to program is, in April 2020, Chief Scientist of Matterpool, Daniel Krawitz, gave a presentation on getting started in programming. He begins with an appropriate quote, time-stamped, link below. He says, quotes here, "The most difficult thing about learning to program is believing that you can do it." I have to confess, I do struggle with that one. So spot on there, Daniel. What is a program? A computer program is a machine that represents and transforms information according to rules. The programming is written instructions to tell the machine how to transform information. Big labor shortage in Bitcoin, yes, indeed. The most difficult thing about learning to program is believing that you can do it. Oh yeah, that's where it was. I referenced this quote in my article last year on my experience developing RetroTwetch, the first alternative Twetch client. Krawitz also mentions how Bitcoin SV has a labor shortage, and unfortunately after a year that is still the case. Given the token explosion in BSV in early 2021 and increased interest, personally I can attest to being frequently reached out to for help implementing ideas by those who do not know how to code. While this is a bullish sign for those wanting to build on BSV, the reality is that we still have a huge gap between those who have ideas and those who can make them happen. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. The goal of but I mean, I'm a financial services student. You know, I'm now broadcasting on OBS and editing footage that I found on the internet and stuff like that. And I've learned the paradox of the centralized starting point that nobody else has explained. Like literally no one. The fundamentals are not in the white paper, and that is what I have uncovered. Only Craig knows what I know, because obviously he designed it. But again, as Burgess, he might have trouble explaining it. I've outlined it clearly, and it took me years. But I've written about it, so I'm doing my bit. So while this is a bullish sign for those wanting to build on BSV, the reality is that we still have a huge gap. Well, I've just read that bit. The goal, so there's no who can make it happen. The goal of this article is to advocate for a do-it-yourself approach in hope to fill the labour gap and continue the innovative momentum in BSV. I started a YouTube channel in early 2020 to teach how to build on BSV in JavaScript. To get started, I recommend my video on writing Hello World to the BSV blockchain in under 4 minutes. I might give that a go. Yeah. Since last year, I've gotten incredibly positive feedback on the channel, and the goal of mine in 2021 is to continue producing tutorials more consistently. I chose JavaScript to base the tutorials on, not only because it is the most popular programming language in the world, but I believe it is the easiest to start with and a natural fit for Bitcoin development. With a couple of libraries and any web browser, one can start interacting with the blockchain with ease. All right, must start doing that. I recommend the following resources to get started. The BSV library, legacy version 1.5.4, not BSV 2, Money Button Run. Each of these JS libraries has extensive documentation, are used heavily across the BSV ecosystem and are extremely powerful. JavaScript has its criticisms, and while they may be relevant to the technocrat, to the beginner programmer, not so much. Most websites use JavaScript in some way, meaning despite these criticisms, its utility is obvious. No one cares if JavaScript is usually typed or was written in only 10 days if you can make money with it. Additionally, certain qualifying terms like full stack, frameworks, and APIs may scare off potential new developers. I believe the use of these terms is intentional because the technical-minded want to limit competition. Wouldn't surprise me. I advise to not be discouraged by these terms, but to understand that you do not need knowledge of any of these things to get started. Yes, one can learn Bitcoin today by building a single page application with some basic HTML, CSS optional, and JavaScript, and or uploading the web page to the blockchain. Cool. I saw a PeerTube the other day. All right. Yes, it may be ugly. Yes, it may not have a domain name URL, but it will work. If one manages to pull this off, congratulations. They may have earned more money than a full stack React developer did from making contributions to open source repositories on GitHub. If you believe you can develop, you can develop. The technical details do not matter. Start building your dream idea on Bitcoin today. So it sounds like the only thing that's limiting you is your creativity and initiative, which you need to engage your hippocampus for. So start, or just the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single footstep. That's what they say. It's literally just getting started. And as you get started, more and more ideas will come to you. You just follow your passion. Again, I had no idea about using, OBS, and I looked at it. I was just completely overwhelmed. I was just like, I've never broadcast before. I don't really have a clue what I'm doing. How's this going to go? Presentation skills, talking on the microphone, coming up with material, But I mean, effectively, I'm trying to put content out there because, if people were like me, I just needed more and more and more, but I didn't need the drivel that all these shitcoiners, come out with. I wanted to know fundamental stuff. I wanted to have somebody that I could reach out to, which is why I spend a lot of time, DMing every single person who follows me on Twitch, and saying, look, if you've got any questions, you can ask me, sending them or the link to my Medium posts that I've written. They've taken quite a while. And also I'm writing my book again, which is going to expose all the shitcoining. It's all part of the From Suicide to Sushi with Satoshi, which you can see in the bottom left-hand corner there. It's gonna be like a tell-all book, and how I discovered the secret to finding the fundamentals of happiness. In the book, basically, is what it's all about. Let's have a quick look at Cointelegraph. There's always fun and shitcoining on here because I haven't seen this today. Let's have a look at some of these articles then. Right, blockchain Bitcoin production jumps 80% over pre-halving levels. Boson protocol raises 25.8 million via public token sale. Five largest regulated US digital asset managers hold over $46 billion of crypto. Well, they'll be crypto is bullshit. They're certainly not holding $46 billion worth of Bitcoin, because the market cap of Bitcoin is only less than 4 billion. Let's have a quick look at that now, shall we? While we're here, hold on 1 second. Here we go. We want Bitcoin. So 4.7. Number coming down a little bit. Good. That's what we like. Eyeing up another buying opportunity. Yes, indeed. We've had quite the rally there. Above this previous high. So, probably good time to go in at really about now. Who cares if it drops a little bit lower? You're buying Bitcoin. You're buying the genuine Bitcoin for under $1,000. And this thing is worth millions. Like literally multiple millions. Crazy when you think about it. It has to be the most undervalued investment in history right now. Literally right now. Nothing can compare to what the returns that you can get from Bitcoin. It's a once in a historic moment, like literally, crazy. Want to buy Coinbase stock? Oh dear. Again, dangerous stuff. Coinbase stock massively over. It's a complete bucket shop. What is it with bucket shops and scams that seem so appealing? It's the stories that they tell, but the stories are too good to be true. They're absolute bullshit. Unless actually you can understand, it's all on a wing and a prayer. They're wishing like these shitcoiners that bought into OneCoin, when all they were doing was looking at a spreadsheet with numbers going up every day, thinking that they were getting rich. Like no fundamental understanding of it. It was crazy. What's this? Mazari researchers slammed Binance Smart Chain over centralized validators. Well, as if they have to slam them for that. I mean, but again, with shitcoiners, they don't care. Shitcoiners are short term. All they care about is number go up. And at the moment, you've got Binance USD buying BNB, pushing the price up. Shitcoiners are over the moon. They don't really care. Numbers going up. Literally, they couldn't give a shit about anything. Look at this. Binance Coin BNB market cap passes Santander and UBS. What's next? Oh dear, oh dear. Let's have a quick look at this. Binance Coin, BNB market cap passes Santander and UBS. What's next? To date, Binance Coin has rallied 900%, which makes the token's $64 billion market cap larger than Santander and the Bank of Montreal and UBS. Let's have a look at this thing. This is absolutely insane. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. That is... So that's 50% on the week. 117% in the month. 1,400% in 3 months. Look at this. 1,800% in 6 months. 3,200% in a year. And what is this? What is this? All time. So that is 723,992% all time. And the recent spike in that is all because of Binance USD. Look at that. Look at the market cap. It's made up from nothing. Literally like $4 billion gone into pump the price of BNB coin. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. 2021 has been impressive for Binance coin, which has so far rallied more than 900%. One of the primary drivers of BNB growth was continued congestion on the Ethereum network. As this struggle carried on, Binance Smart Chain emerged as an alternative meeting rapidly growing decentralized finance sector demands. As BNB reached $64 billion market capitalization, it has surpassed traditional banks including Santander, the Bank of Montreal and UBS. Meanwhile, some analysts point to the estimated value value and impact of Coinbase's upcoming direct listing $100 billion valuation as a catalyst for BNB price. It's got nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with it. Literally all these shitcoiners clutching at straws, making up stories, trying to make sense of it in their own stupid shitcoiner heads. Honestly. Oh dear, it cracks me up. Anyway, that's 37 minutes, coming up to 40 minutes. I can see... there's no one in the chat box, that's alright. Whoopie-doo! I can close the show out without doing ding and dongs and leave it there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show. Full episode is going to be on Streamanity. And for all you guys listening to it on YouTube, you are a week out because today's date is the 12th of April 2021 and it's currently now 5:40. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you guys later. Get paid for posting your pics on Relica. Download the app now at www.getrelica.com. Get your tweet etched on Twitch, forever on the Bitcoin blockchain. Do it today at www.jointwitch.com. BuyBSV.live, the best place to buy Bitcoin SV online. Support independent content creators on micropayment platforms such as Streamanity, Twitch and Relica. We should profit from our data, not the large corporations who track, monitor and sell it. If you enjoy the Bitcoin content that I produce, please support me by heading over to www.satoshi.tv, where you can keep up to date with all the latest news, gossip and content as it's created. Thanks very much. To get started in Bitcoin, go to freebsv.com, where you can claim your free Bitcoin. Then head over to Twitter and follow @IamSatoshi, where you can take part in his very generous and world famous free giveaways. The future of advertising meets the power of Bitcoin at Tonic Pow. Get paid for posting advertising campaigns to your social media profiles. Go to www.tonicpowads.com.